Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Shayler, and for today's video I am going to be talking about how to decide if you want ACL surgery, and also I'm giving you information from my experience, hoping that it'll help you make decisions on if you want ACL surgery and what you want from that surgery, like what you want to be done. So disclaimer, I'm not a professional in any means. Please consult your physician or an orthopedist, a specialist, if you have any questions or any concerns. I am solely basing this off of my experience. So let's go ahead and get into this video. The reason why I wanted to do this video was because this is my first surgery, big surgery, where they actually, it was like invasive, where they had to cut you open and stuff. I mean, not really, but they do cut you. So I was very, very nervous, and I had no knowledge of the surgery or the injury that I had. So I did a lot of internet, YouTube research, a lot of articles, and you guys, let me tell you, okay, it could be a little toxic when you watch so many YouTube videos or read so many articles. I think it's a good idea to look into what kind of surgery you're getting and to have some sort of knowledge of what injury you have and what kind of surgery you will be having in order to reconstruct that injury. I feel like the specialists use a lot of verbiage, and if you didn't do any prior research, you wouldn't really understand what they're saying. ACL stands for anterior cruciate ligament, and that ligament is like the main ligament inside your knee. It's kind of in the middle, and it basically prevents your knee from bending in the other direction backwards, or how they like to word it is it prevents your tibia from moving forward. So practically the same thing. Prevents your femur from moving back and your tibia from moving forward. So it's a pretty crucial cruciate ligament. I did a lot of research, and I'm glad that I did, because I think that's the number one thing you need to do to decide if you even want the surgery, because I feel like it's all depending on you if you even want the surgery or not. For me, because I am such an active person, I opted for the surgery in order to get back to being as active as I was. So I came across this YouTube video about a lady. She was in her late 40s, and I really resonated with her video. It's her recovery story. She had the same injury, and we actually almost had the same injury from the same cause. Hers was, she was doing it, she was in Taekwondo. I was also in Taekwondo, and she was going from a yellow green belt to a green belt. And I also did Taekwondo, and I only got up to a green belt. And I had injured, if you want to see my video, I'll link it down below, of how I got my ACL injury. I think I sprained it 6 years ago in Taekwondo class, and then 6 years later I just tore it completely in kickboxing class. So it's essentially the same type of exercises that caused my injury. If you don't have a very active lifestyle, or if you just don't want to get the surgery in general, that's entirely up to you if you want to get it or not. I decided to get it because I'm very active, and I want to get back to that active life. If you are not very active, you live a very sedentary life where you don't jump around a lot, you don't exercise a lot, you just do walking or really minimal exercise activities, then you don't have to get the surgery. Because I had gotten injured in December of 2019, and I didn't get the surgery until May of 2020 because of all of the situation with the COVID and everything that was going on, I wasn't able to get it until like 5 months later. So in that 5 months, I can say that my knee was almost completely back to being normal, as far as I can almost bend it completely. I could walk almost with it straight, because I was walking with it on a bent knee in order to prevent it from going backwards. And I was also able to do a lot of exercises, including my knee. So I feel like I was pretty close to being back to my active lifestyle. The only thing I wasn't able to do in those 5 months was jumping, running, anything that involved impact on the knee. So it was a lot of like low impact workouts or like isometric workouts that I could do. And so, I mean, it's entirely up to you if you want to get the surgery or not. People don't get the surgery and they're completely fine, and they do therapy and they, you know, are fine and they can live their life completely normal. And also for my job, it requires a lot from me. So I feel like I had to get the surgery in order to return back to work, because I am on medical leave. So that's part of the reason why I decided to get the surgery. There's a lot of people that don't get the surgery and they're completely fine. So it's just up to you deciding on what you want to do. And it's completely fine if you don't get the surgery. I mean, your knee will not completely be back to normal. You will not be able to be as active, or it will take a longer time in order for you to be back to being active. I feel like a lot of people who don't get it, they end up getting it later, or they just don't get it. I mean, if you don't get the surgery, you can always decide later if you want the surgery or not. They always say that if you don't get the surgery, then like later on in life, your knee will be more damaged, because it's injured, and like it'll impact the other parts of your knee, like your meniscus or your other ligaments. But I mean, you guys, basically just consult your physician. Ask questions. Definitely ask questions. Like, if you got injured, definitely see a specialist, and they can give you an idea on if you want the surgery or not. Like, I think that's a good idea, to just get as much information as you can and then make a decision on if you want the surgery or not. So when I decided to get this surgery, I did not know anybody else who had gotten the surgery personally. I knew like a few people who had gotten knee surgeries. One of my coworkers had a complete knee replacement, which is not the same thing, and another friend who said she had an ACL surgery. But when I had asked her about her experience, like all the things that I was told, she didn't know anything about. Like, her surgery was completely different, even though it was ACL. So I was like, okay, I had nobody to consult, which totally sucks, because then you don't know anyone with experience in this type of situation that you're in, which I like to get people's inputs on, just so I can, you know, feel like I'm not making the wrong decision. So I went in for my consultation with the PA, which is the physician's assistant, and he agreed that I should get ACL surgery, especially if I want to return to my active lifestyle. So I agreed. You know, I went in thinking, okay, I'm gonna get this surgery done, because, you know, I had already sprained it 6 years prior, and so I feel like it was just a ticking time bomb, which it was, because then 6 years later I completely tore it. But I went in and, you know, we both agreed I needed the surgery, and then, you know, I went in again to see the surgeon for the pre-op. This was in March, by the way, you guys. He was telling me my options on the surgery. So there's 2 different types of grafts that you can use for your ACL in order to replace it. So one is an allograft. So the allograft is basically donor tissue or cadaver tissue that they used from a dead person. So I know it sounds very scary, and it is, okay? I was like, I'm not comfortable with the idea. And then the other type of graft that you can use to replace your ACL is an autograft. So an autograft is basically tissue that they use from your leg that is injured. So it's the same leg. They can use it from your patella, which is the ligament on the front of your knee. So I can show you right here. This is the patella, and it's basically like the connection from your kneecap. And so that's one option, is the patella. The other option is to get it from your hamstring, a ligament from your hamstring, or they can do it from your quadricep. So those are the 3 autografts that you can choose from. I had already known this going into the surgery, going into the appointment, because like I said, I did a lot of research on this type of surgery and my injury. So the surgery is not very invasive because they use like tubing, cameras, and like the tools are small, so they don't really cut you open as big as they would. Going into this appointment, my surgeon explained to me that it would be beneficial, or to me, to get the allograft because I was not a professional athlete, which I felt like this is why I resonated with the YouTube video, because she felt the same way I did. I am a very active person. My lifestyle is very active, and I don't think he understood how active I was, because like I said in my how I tore my ACL video, I was very active, okay? I love to hike. I did aerial yoga. I did CrossFits, multiple CrossFit boxes. I did kickboxing. I did Taekwondo. Like, you know, I'm very active as a person. And I love to exercise at home. I do a lot of home workouts, YouTube workouts. I love working out at home. I have a lot of equipment at home that I can work out normally at home without going to a gym. I also joined a gym like before. You know, I used to go to CalFit. I've been to Crunch Fitness. I've been to Planet Fitness. Like 24-hour Fit. I've done a lot of things. So I felt like he wasn't taking me seriously at how active I was. And so because he kept using this term professional athlete, if you are not a professional athlete, then it's better for you to get the allograft. And for me, I felt like, I've given birth before I've gone into labor, and I feel like the doctors do what's easier for them and not what's best for you. So that's how I felt when I went into when I was delivering my kids. Was I did research, and the reason why the doctors, the OBGYN have you deliver on your back, because it's easier for them when you're delivering. But for the mother who is delivering the baby, like, you're compressing your spine so much, it's hard for the baby to come out, and when it does, it hurts. So when I delivered my first child, I delivered squatting, because that gives your spine flexibility to, give room for the baby to come out, and it didn't hurt at all. And then with my second child, I delivered on my back because they told me I couldn't deliver squatting, and I'm like, I regret that, but I delivered on my back, and let me tell you guys, it was painful to deliver, which was so strange to me, because when I delivered my first child squatting, it was not painful at all, like at all. But when I delivered on my back, it was so painful. So that's how I feel with the surgeon. Was the reason why he was telling me to do an allograft, this is how I felt, was because it was easier for him and not for me. Because with an allograft, you don't have to do as much. You don't have to take it from anywhere else in the leg. So less work for you. And then the allograft, what it is it goes through this sanitation process, so it's very clean, and it's like not live tissue. Basically what it is when they're doing the surgery, they already have it ready, so they don't have to do anything extra. They just have to put it into your knee. And so he said he's been doing this for 8 years or whatever, and he's never had any problems with allografts. He highly recommends the allograft, and the reason why is because he was saying that, you know, with orthopedist research, they don't go as far out, like 10 years post surgery, to see how people are doing, because he says he has a lot of returning patients who did the autograft and that have problems, and the percentage for people who did allografts was much lower with who returned with problems. And so I was like, okay, well, you know, I don't know what to do. I'm not a specialist. I don't have any insight in this surgery or anything. So I was like, okay, so I just went along with the allograft. The pros and cons between the allograft and the autograft is the allograft, there is a very, very, very small percentage, like I think 0.1% of you getting AIDS from this cadaver. And I know it sounds very scary, and it, like I said, it is very scary. And if that is something that you are not comfortable with, then definitely tell your orthopedist, okay? I was not comfortable with this, but he kept like pushing for the allograft. So I was like, okay, I'll just go along with whatever you say because you're the specialist, right? So the allograft, there's a small percentage of you getting AIDS, very small. And I asked him at the appointment, and he said that, you know, it's not very likely, it's very rare. However, there are cases where people have had the surgery and have contracted AIDS from it. So it's very scary to think about. Two, I think the reason why the cons for the allograft also is because the tissue is dead, so it takes longer for your body to kind of incorporate it into your body. Even though they say the recovery is shorter, but it takes longer for your body to like accept it. I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, your recovery is shorter, but it takes longer. It's kind of weird. The pros for that is that they don't have to take anything from your leg, which means you won't be missing a ligament, like a part of a ligament in your leg. So that's the pros for that. And then for the autograft, the cons are that they have to take a ligament from your leg. So they take a third from wherever you decide to take it. So they could take a third from your patella, from your quadriceps, or from your hamstrings. And once they take that ligament out, there's no way to replace it. Because according to my surgeon, they've tried to replace it before and it just doesn't take. So that's why they just take a third of it and leave it how it is. So those are the cons for taking it from your own tissue. The pros is that it's live tissue, and according to my surgeon, even though it's live tissue, it's dead once you take it out, but your body incorporates it better when it's back in your body. So because it's familiar tissue. And when I got my surgery, I got the patella. That's what he suggested. He said that it's more beneficial to do the patella. I think because the patella has more research, and they've done more patella surgeries with this type of surgery. And so it's more of like a grandfathered in type of surgery, and the other ones like the hamstring and the quadriceps are like newer ligaments that they've tried that have worked. So he suggested that I get the patella, which is the one that I got. And with that one, they take a portion of bone as well. So a little bit of the kneecap and then a little bit of the bone from the bottom of your patella. So it's like, they call it patella bone to bone. So basically they screw in your bone into your bone, like into your femur and into your tibia, in order to replace that ACL ligament. Those are the pros and cons with those two types of grafts that you want to get. So like I said, with my first appointment, we had decided to do an allograft, which after that appointment, I felt like, oh my gosh, am I making the right decision? Like, I don't know, like I'm so uncomfortable with the idea, like even though the percentage is really small, like you can contract AIDS from it. And that was just bothering me. And you know, I think the reason why it bothered me was because it wasn't something that I had decided to agree on. It was something that the surgeon was like suggesting, and like I just went along with it, and I felt like, you know, I had no control really. And so I was like, you know what, I don't know if I'm making the right decision. And the reason why I think I was thinking that way was because if something had gone wrong and with the allograft, I would blame the surgeon and I would feel regret and I would blame it on the surgeon, because that was something that he suggested that I just went along with before I even made a decision. I was going to get the surgery, and if you watched my video about how I tore my ACL and then the quarantine happened, I was scheduled to go get my surgery, and like a few days before, that was when the mayor decided to put in the stay at home. So all of the clinics like closed down for surgery, and I felt like that was like my second chance to make a decision on what I wanted to do with this surgery, because I was supposed to go in for the allograft, and then they closed down the clinic, so I couldn't get the surgery until May. So that gave me like 2 months to think about like what I wanted to do with as far as what I wanted done with my surgery. And I messaged as many people as I could, like who has had the surgery and their experience, and I only came back with one response, and it was a coworker, and he said that he had gotten the ACL surgery and that he had gotten an autograft, and his friend got the same surgery at the same time, and his friend had gotten an allograft. And so they were kind of recovering on the same time, and he was saying that he was recovering way faster than his friend. And you know, it just basically is up to you. And like I said, you guys, everybody's body is different. So even though like their body is different from mine or from each other, like it doesn't matter what you get, your body kind of responds differently. So even if somebody else got the allograft and somebody got the autograft, like the allograft person with the allograft could have recovered faster. Everybody is different, okay? So please take this with a grain of salt. But that really helped me kind of gauge like what I wanted to get done for my surgeries. I finally made up my mind, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just way too uncomfortable with the fact of using an allograft, because one, you can contract AIDS, and two, it's from a person who has passed away. So that was like very uncomfortable for me. It's like having something foreign in your body, and it was not settling in my mind. So when I went back in May for my pre-op, I decided to let my surgeon know. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and do the autograft, because I don't care, you know, if I'm not a professional athlete, okay? Because I am active and I want to return to being active, and I'm gonna make this decision for me, and my decision is that I want to get an autograft. The thing with surgeons is, my surgeon suggested the allograft, but he also let me know that it doesn't matter like what he suggests. He said that he'll do whatever I want, as you know, if I decide to change my mind. He suggests an allograft, and he strongly, you know, advises for me to do the allograft, but the decision is entirely up to me. So I appreciated that, and I think, like I said with the YouTube video of the surgery recovery story of the lady in her late 40s, you know, I didn't have the resources that she had, where she flew out of town to find a doctor that understood how active her lifestyle was and gave her the options that she wanted. I don't have that luxury. So even though I don't have those resources, you ultimately have the decision of what you want done with your surgery, and the surgeon is just going to have to go along with what you decide. That gave me more ease of mind that whatever decision I make, he was okay to go along with whatever decision I made, which was good to know, because then I could say that I made a decision, and if I made the wrong decision, then I have nobody to blame but myself. I have no regrets, and you know, it's something that I would have to deal with because I made the decision. Whereas if I was to just go along with what the surgeon said, then I would regret it and I would blame the surgeon, which isn't fair, because then I didn't, stand up for myself. I didn't voice my questions, my concerns, my opinions. Which, don't be afraid to do that, okay, you guys? Definitely question what's going on. Ask a lot of questions. Do a lot of research so you know exactly what to ask, or if you don't know what to ask, like, ask about it. I think that was a big factor, was just making the decision for yourself, even though, taking into account what the surgeon says, but definitely make the decision yourself. So I made the decision to do the autograft, which I don't think he was very thrilled about, but he was like, okay, we'll go ahead and do that. And then as far as which part of my leg that I wanted to get it from, I don't know. I did research and I didn't really have an opinion as far as that. I think I said I wanted to get it done from my hamstring, and he was saying that I should get it done from my patella. So instead, because he was saying that once the ligament is gone, it's just gone. There's no replacing it. And I think because the patella has more research and it's one of the ligaments that they've taken it from, like when they first started doing this surgery, was the patella. So I think that's why he suggested the patella to me. And I didn't really have a preference, so I was like, okay, like whatever you think is best as far as that, because I don't know. I'm sorry if this video is all over the place, but basically how to make a decision on if you want to get it or not is basically what kind of lifestyle you have. And honestly, you can take as much time as you want to decide if you even want this surgery, because you can always get it done later if you decide that you do want to get it done, or if not at all, you just live the rest of your life like that. You just have to be extra careful with your knee. And then if you do decide to get the surgery, like, these are your options, and what type of options you have. You have the allograft, you have the autograft, and if you do the allograft, like, where is it coming from? How do you get it, and how does it incorporate in your body? And the autograft, like, which parts of your leg are you getting it from, and how does your leg recover, and everything like that. So definitely do some research. There are a lot of people who get the allograft done and are fine. There are a lot of people who get the autograft and are fine, and then there are a lot of people who get the allograft and are not fine, and there are a lot of people who get the autograft that are not fine. So it's just like, every body is different. Every body accepts this surgery different. This is just on my experience. I am about over a month post-op, and right now I can say that I am just, I feel like I'm just moving along in my own pace. I'm not going faster than anyone or slower than anyone. I don't beat myself up because I'm not progressing as much as I see on YouTube or according to the articles. Like, I think that's where it becomes toxic, is just you compare yourself to other people who have had the surgery. And that's just not how it works. And so, just go in your own pace and don't compare yourself to other people. Like, I try not to be so negative about it, because I feel like this isn't my first injury. So I've had injuries before, and I feel like when you get injured, you get really down on yourself because you don't get to do the things that you enjoy, like being active, working out, going on walks and hikes, and doing active things. And so like I said, this isn't my first injury, so I was already expecting this. And just do what you can, because like right now I can't really use my knee very much. I cannot kneel, I cannot bend it very much, and it's still not strong enough to hold my weight. But you know what I can do? I can do arms, okay? And I can do abs, and I can do glutes that are low impact. So, or I can do back, or just do what you can at that time. Basically just let yourself recover and just focus on what you can do and not so much on what you can't do at the moment, because you'll see the progression and you'll see like, oh my God, like I wasn't able to do this last week and now I can do it this week. And it's just like the little things that you take for granted that you were able to do so easily, like are so hard to do now. But then it's like once you progress and are able to do those little things, it's like a milestone for you, which is awesome. Like, celebrate the milestones and just focus on recovering and focus on, you know, your health, and focus on just getting back to being normal again. And just definitely take your time and give yourself some rest, because I mean, that's probably how I got injured in the first place. Was my body was like, you're doing too much, like slow down, calm down, take a rest. And like, and that's just how I got injured, was because I wasn't resting enough. I wasn't giving my body proper rest or recovery time, and that's how you get injured. I hope this helped you make a decision on if you want the surgery and what you want done in this surgery. I know it was kind of all over the place, and I'm sorry. I do like go off tangent a lot, so if you have any questions or concerns, please consult a physician. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Give yourself time to rest. Definitely do some research, but not too much, because it will like get to your head. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!